Assassin's Promise by Thomas Woodward, Chapter 14. A darkly glittering emerald jewel stood before her on a pedestal. Millie moved her hands and found them covered in beautiful gossamer silk gloves. She raised her hand to her crown and felt the light weight of a tiara encircling her brow. An enchanting dress spun of the finest white silk, encrusted in pearls and diamonds of incredible clarity, sparkled in the light, which seemed to come from all around her, but had no source she could pinpoint exactly. Millie stifled a yawn. She had been so tired, so tired. How had she come to this place? Millie stepped forward. The crystal cavern above her was gargantuan in size. She looked up what must be hundreds if not thousands of feet to see the dim ceiling that was crisscrossed in brilliant pools of light that seemed to come through from above, spilling into the great open cavern below. Iridescent pools of moon silver were scattered over the cavern's floor. There was a warm heat coming up from the ground. She could feel a pulsing flow beneath her feet. The heat seemed to move through her, breathing energy into her limbs. Millie came closer to the pedestal that sat in front of her field of view. She felt a pulling sadness coming from the brilliant gem. Feeling the strangeness wash over her, Millie reached out to touch the emerald tentatively. Her hand moved forward imperceptibly, no matter how much she focused on pressing her arm forward. Her hand came within mere inches of the gem before slowing further still. Millimeters separating her hand from the crystal fell away as the minutes stretched away. Finally, Millie's hand was within the barest breath of the gem. She could see deep into the emerald facets. They reflected and refracted in a multitude of jumbled images and reflections. Millie couldn't quite make out what she was seeing, if only she could press closer. Something interrupted her reverie, a distant call. No, it had been the cry of a bird, hadn't it? Millie was so tired. She just wanted to sleep. There was something strange about this place, she realized dimly. The light came from an odd direction. Why did it feel so warm? It had been pleasantly invigorating, but now the heat became oppressive. She could almost see the edge of something wrong. The warped images began colliding into other twisted reflections within the crystal's depths. Serpentine limbs pulled free from arms that were horribly misshapen. A deep bronze, flashed with a metallic black coating, covered the twisted limbs of the tiny figures refracted in the gem's depths. Slowly, sickeningly, they resolved into a single image, a reflection. Millie felt pinpricks all over her body, the cold warring with the now blistering heat that pushed at her in angry waves. She began to twist her body to see what was coming from behind her. The images in the emerald rotated and stretched in a wild, sickening fashion, as if the thing was moving through a house of mirrors. Her hand, it was held fast. Millie realized with dread that her hand was indeed moving, but with the aching slowness she had experienced when trying to get closer to the gem. She remembered with sudden clarity the long minutes, while her hand had crept forward at a snail's pace towards the emerald prize. She was keenly aware of the trap she had fallen in. With grim fascination, Millie heard the buzzing of a million bees and other insects. The din rose to a shrieking howl. Just as it reached to a tittering whine, she could almost make out voices? A cold bronze arm fell on her. Millie screamed and bolted awake. Dripping in sweat, Millie looked up, out of the window of the wagon. She could just hear the cry of a bird.